Ladies and gentlemen, today I bring you my first ever Festool review on this channel. That's right, hard to believe, Festool has never been on this channel, and so I figure if I'm going to start with Festool, why not start at the top with the CSC SYS 50 EBI Cordless table saw. And she's a nice looking bit of kit. Now I don't have the manual for this, and I don't have very long to review it either because this doesn't belong to me. I didn't buy it. It belongs to Cam. Now you might remember Cam. He lent me this tool, which a week later I went and purchased. Is that going to happen with this tool? Well, let's take a look. Now the first thing I noticed when I turned it on was that it wasn't quite sort of in calibration. There seems to be a little bit out. We've got 0.5 of a millimeter there that we're out on the height of the blade. Now when you adjust it, it goes up in 1 millimeter increments, and so you can't get rid of that 0.5. So we're 0.25 down, 1.5 down, 0.5 down, 0.5 up. So can you get that back to zero? I want to take a look now. I think if we, oh, what's that? Oh, I can tweak that. Ah, there we go. Look, by the 0.1 of a millimeter. I worked it out already. Okay. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. I was wondering why that was 0.5 out of whack. So that was easy. So far this is a nice bit of kit, and it's pretty cool. It's not only nice in that it's well built, well thought out, but it's also got that sort of tech geek side to it as well. With this area here to change the angle and height of your... Shall we take a look at it? It's really cool. We'll show you it straight away, eh? Let's take a close-up look of the blade on top here. Okay, so you can see my hand down at the bottom of the screen here with the knobs. We are going to set this to go to, what shall we do, 33 and 45. That means it's going to come up 33 millimeters and it's going to bevel 45 degrees. Are you ready? Let's give that a whirl now. I mean, is that cool or what? I mean, it's worth the price of admission just for that, right? When you're bringing the blade up, you do, however, have to keep your finger on the button the whole time. You don't just push it once and it comes up. I'm guessing that's sort of a safety feature so that you don't tap it and it starts going and, yeah, you do something you don't want to do. This way you can take your finger off it if you realize it's about to hit something, you know, like the fence or anything like that. Now it comes with a 168 millimeter blade in this part of the world with a 20 millimeter arbor, and that will give you a maximum of 48 millimeters depth of cut, which means you could rip framing timber. Framing timber in this part of the world is 45 millimeters, but is this powerful enough to do it? I mean, it's such a cute little unit, you'd think, I don't think I'd put framing timber through that. But Cam wants to see me put it to the test, so that is what I'm going to do, among other things. But before we jump into that, we'll just have a quick look at a few of the other features and stuff. You saw in the opening that there is 2 batteries on it. It needs both of those batteries. This is a 36 volt tool, not an 18 volt tool. It is very light. It has a side slide here which feels very nice. I can't feel any play in it, so that is good, and it locks back in super easy. Same with the table extension on the side here. It pops down nice and easy and pops back up very easy as well. I mean, it's beautifully thought out and easy to use. The fence is easy to move. Flick your lever forward, slide it across to wherever you want it. We have markings along the front for your measurements. Lock it back down. Storage on it there for a push stick, and you can extend it like so in either direction. It's got a lot of P markers on it, so that P marker is where you need to set it for when you need to pack it up and put it back in the box so everything lines up. We've got one here, we've got one there. They're all over the tool. You'll soon learn where all those things are when you have one of these things, else you're never going to get it back in its cute box. And the box is pretty damn cool. For when you remove the lid of this Sustainer style box, on the underside is all the attachments, all the accessories, the mitre fence, the rip fence, the safety guard, the blade guard, blade storage, a riving knife that's on the tool fits in there, and the dust bag, and they all clip in so elegantly. They've all got that P marking. Make sure you get this one in the right place. I did it right to the end because that's what it looked like. Doesn't quite fit. You need to have it just clicked back onto 67.5 degrees, and then it will just clip in like so. It is a work of art in itself, just all this being in there like that. We've also got a couple of little cutouts here which slot onto these pins on the front, which you can't quite see there, and just helps hold it all steady when you're picking it up and moving it around. It really is a thing of beauty. There is also a trolley cum stand as visible here on the marketing sticker on the top of the tool at the moment. I unfortunately don't have that to show you, but I'm sure the tool itself will be enough for this review. While I've been playing with this thing over the past hour or so, it's just so nice and clever the way that they've come up with all the different little things they've come up with. But I'm kind of hoping I don't fall in love with it too much, because Festool tools are always a large financial investment, and this one is one of the largest. And now I'm absolutely dying to use this thing. I'm going to be using it for a few things that most people would probably not use this saw for. I'm going to push it to its limits a little bit, see what it can do. So bear that in mind before you leave comments saying nobody would use it for that. I want to see how much grunt it's got and what we can do with this thing if we need to. So without further ado, I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to start with some framing timber. I've got a 6 meter long 8x2 sitting out on the drive, and yeah, I need to chop it up a bit. Let's go. So I'm thinking with this 8x2, it might be easier if I just tip the saw upside down and push the whole table saw across the top of the bit of wood. Might be easier than trying to push the bit of wood straight through that table saw. What do you reckon? Right now all the Festool fans are screaming at me, aren't they? Cam probably would be too, so maybe I'll just dice this up to some sizes that I need, and we'll rip a short bit. Although because this thing is so small, it would be so easy, and if it was mine, I think I would give it a crack, because you could just set the fence up, run it along the edge of the piece of wood, and just push this whole table saw upside down along the length of the piece of timber. Of course it would just be easier to use a circular saw or something, but you know. Pretty bright out here, hopefully we can see the screen. Let's turn her on. I can see it, but I can't see it too easily on the screen. Let's set this thing to 48. So this is full depth of cut. I'll leave that on 0. Let's see if we can rip 8x2. Okay, I don't think I would try that again. I wouldn't recommend that. The blade barely got through it, and it was struggling pretty hard, and I was trying to go slow, and it wasn't terribly happy, which I'm not surprised about. This tool is made for cutting sheet goods, let's face it. It's for doing small little fixes in kitchens and that sort of thing. So, bearing that in mind, let's cut some ply and chipboard and that sort of stuff. And incidentally, that's taken the batteries down from 3 bars to 2, both of them. And that was done on the highest setting. That's right, this tool actually has speed settings as well as all the other fancy things, so I'll show you that in a moment. It's got a nice quick brake on it, which is good. Sort of sounds like it's not going to stop, and then all of a sudden, bang, just stops. Just remember, seems a bit criminal, eh, putting this expensive saw on these shitty sawhorses. Anywho, don't have the cart, like I said, but just want to tell you about the battery life. I can see 1 bar's just popped back up. So just a second ago when I looked at it, 1 battery was showing 2 bars out of 3, 1 was showing 1 bar out of 3. So we're below halfway, I'd say. So the batteries are going down pretty quick, because pretty much everything you've seen is everything I've cut thus far. Now Cam says he hasn't calibrated this tool yet, and I'm not about to start messing with calibration and stuff, but I'm just going to do some 45 cuts here. We'll just see how good it is out of the box. That's cool. Alright, let's go. I think we can go down a bit lower. Let's go about there. What I'm cutting now is Vitex. It is a hardwood from Solomon Islands. Get that out of the way, move this across now. Hopefully I grabbed a big enough bit of wood. What I'm noticing is it doesn't seem to be quite square. It's probably this. Just needs a little tweak. Noticed it when I was doing the MDF. Let's try there. Might just need a little bit of adjustment on the mitre square here. It's looking a bit better. Right, flip that. Moved the fence back towards me, so when we get past here nothing can catch and kick back. It should be free. Now, because I wasn't using a push stick, some of those have got that little bit on it there. So not quite. See, we've got 3 that are looking pretty good, but we've got a bit of an opening there. Can hold them in the right place. It's not quite set, but like I say, it hasn't been calibrated yet, and we are a little bit off here. Although it is still much nicer than anything you're going to get with the shitty Makita that I've got, no matter how long you calibrate it for. Top edges cut nice, the bottom edges little furry. But like I say, this isn't a fine blade. This is a general purpose blade. It's not a laminate blade, it's not a hardwood blade, it's not a fine blade. But pretty good. I was about 1/4 degree off on the setting on there, so that's probably why my last little box experiment didn't come out quite right. Let's try it again. This is some 32mm Vitex. See, that's still not quite right there. What are we doing? As you can see, I really need a finer blade on here. Okay, on 2 out of 4 sides each turn. So still not perfect, but I think I'll put it down to my crude setting up and the fact that I'm using offcuts. Because, yeah, this side's not dead straight. But it is pretty nice when you look at individual ones. But altogether, slightly off. But I'll try a different method. We'll do the bevel with the mitre square rather than tilting the blade. So let's get the blade back. We'll put it on PA. Down and up. That'll stop at 29.5mm. When I first did that, I thought, why is it stopping at 29.5? Surely it should go right below the tabletop so that you can pack it away. But it's assuming that you've got the guard on it, I'm guessing. Why haven't you got the guard on it, Mr. Tools? Because I live in the real world. Stops nice and quick. I think the batteries are getting a bit low. 1 bar on each has been shown for a little while. Okay, I'm happy with that one. There's just a little nick there where I lost control and it touched the blade after the cut. It just, as I pushed it away, it went dink. So that's why there's a little bit taken out of there. Otherwise, that is pretty darn good. I'm happy. Found another use for the sliding sled here. It helps keep the sun off the display when you're making YouTube videos. So we're going to change the speed now for the next thing I'm going to cut. So if we tap this, it says menu, press dial twice, tap. Speed is the first one, give that a tap. Now we've been doing everything on the top speed, 6,800 RPM. Let's now take it right down to number 1, which is 4,500 RPM. See what that sounds like. We need to drop the blade a little bit too before I do this next cut, because this next cut is stainless steel. But don't worry, it's only 1.2 mil, so it shouldn't be too hard, eh? Nice slow speed, let's go. Now, how many of you Festool nuts were having conniptions then? I imagine Cam probably was. Yeah, of course you don't cut stainless steel on this. Not with that blade, that's for sure. There are, however, a few things I'd like to try, such as ACM and aluminium and things like that, some polycarb, but being that this is not my saw, I'm not going to do that. I know. Whilst we have it in the low speed, I'm going to try ripping this 25mm thick piece of Vitex. See how we go. So did that no problem. Looks nice. Looks very nice. The battery gauges now are showing 1 bar, but that bar is red. Red is bad. What happens when she's out of juice? I'm going to try and adjust it now while it's running. Don't know if you can do that or not. Let's see. Oh yeah, blade going right down as you can see. Back up again. Can we change the angle while it's running? That'd be a bit dangerous, wouldn't it? Oh, you can. Interesting. Didn't think you'd be able to change the angle while it's running, because start changing the angle while you're mid-cut or something. You could raise the blade into a bit of wood, but angling it into a bit of wood could be a little bit scary. I could have had a 0 set. How have I not found that? Okay, I'm getting sick of listening to it, so I'm going to turn it off and then try and start it again and see if it's got enough battery life left. It does. It does stop nice and quick. The on-off button, dead simple. On. What does the red one do? Obvious, easy. Red one sticks out a bit more as per usual. This groove I just did in the timber came out fairly nicely. I mean, I was only just quickly doing it, so if I'd done a little bit slower, I might have got it a little bit nicer in there, but it's pretty darn good. Let's take a look at how much dust is around the place. So we've got a bit of dust here on the table. So a little bit keeps coming down the front. A little bit on the slide there. But pretty good. I'd say it's, you know, only 1% or so. Bag is, well, getting there. Probably 2/3 or more full. And on the inside, can we get a shot of the inside? Come on, is there enough light in there? There's very little dust on the inside anyway. And nothing really to speak of on the sides, perhaps a little bit on there, the sawhorse, a little bit on the sawhorse there, but pretty clean. I am impressed how clean it is. Okay, in that shot, I changed the speed. So we started off slow, went fast, went slow, back to fast, just to see if you could do it while it was running, and you can. Also, something else I noticed then. Can you hear that? Let me just check my microphone. Stop. And then almost like a back stops. It's got a little blower in it that is blowing the dust into the bag. Bag does fill up at the end. Cuts off pretty quick, so I'm not sure if that's what it is or not, whether it's just the motor winding down, but the blade does stop before the motor whirring noise stops, so maybe, just maybe, it is blowing air with some sort of fan to help with the extraction of the dust from the tool. That'd be pretty cool. Now these batteries are hanging in there, but I really want to see the thing conk out. So let's just dice away until it dies. It is so easy to just get going, it really is. Let's drop the blade a little bit. 21 and a half. Perfect. There it is. It just said battery 1 empty and now it's vanished. Try turning it back on, see if we can get another little shot out of it. Has started up again. Not as empty as it said. So you can still get a few more cuts out of it. Potentially. Battery 1 dead. Red light come on the side of the tool. Turn it back on again. Kids, don't try this at home, not too good for your batteries probably. Still running. I'll just slow down my pressure. It should cut for a while, I reckon. No noticeable loss of power to the actual blade, which is nice. Doesn't sound or feel like it's cutting less until it cuts out altogether. Okay, we'll leave it there. I will chuck some new batteries on. Have I got some more batteries? I most certainly do. When you get a tool like this, you've got to make sure you've got at least 4 batteries because you're using 2 all the time. So you need to have another 2 ready to go. So you probably need a kit like this. Look at that, isn't that a beautiful sight? A double charger and 4 5.2 amp hour batteries. Plus there's 2 still on the machine. These are all charged, ready to go, so I can carry on over this long weekend. Unfortunately though, I don't have it for much longer to actually get much done. So I don't have time to actually build anything properly. Hence why I'm just sort of testing out the features, seeing how well she cuts and how it all works, rather than trying to actually make something with it, because I know I'm only gonna run out of time and have to give it back halfway through and be annoyed. It'll be annoying giving it back anyway, no matter what, of course, because it is a nice piece of kit. Anyway, I'm going to swap out the batteries and do a few more things, see how she goes, and I'll show you a few more of the settings on the tool. Fresh batteries on, we can play with calibration. Now by play with, I'm not really going to play with it because I don't want to mess anything up for Cam, and I'll let him calibrate it when he wants to do it. So let's have a wee look here. Tap that twice. While we're here, we'll have a look at the other features. We've got saw blade change there. Shows you how to do that, get it into position and stuff. Then we've got calibrating the cut height and the angle. Reference drive for the saw blade. We've got a help guide. Look at that, I didn't need a manual. After all, we can just look at a guide. So anyway, we don't really want to do that, do we? Shows you how to do stuff, yada yada. There we go. Reset to factory settings. Info about the machine, I'm not going to click on that one because that has a serial number on it. so don't want to give away Cam's serial number of his tool here. And then we've got languages on the bottom, and if you leave it too long it times out and goes back to that. This is the main default screen. When you want to change the cut height, push the one on the left there at the top, one at the left on the bottom for the angle, and then all other ones you use this for. So at the moment we would dial up the angle like that, turn that back off. We've got preset ones up the side here. We've got the park one down the bottom, which I've shown you earlier. Yeah, so that's basically what you do with that. If I turn this now, it goes through those presets. Push that, does the park. Oh, would you look at that time? I think it's time to clean this thing up and get it back to Cam. So I'll give it a blow and then we'll go back to the bench, eh? Now, someone who knows I've got this asked me to test it with some Jarrah. I've got some 40mm Jarrah and they wanted that tested, and I'm not going to do that because I think it'll kill it, and that's why they wanted me to test it. They wanted to see the smoke come out of this thing, but I don't think this thing will cope. I used the 32mm Vitex. It cut that okay, but I wouldn't go much denser or much thicker than that. This is more designed for, you know, doing small molding jobs, laminate flooring, picture framing, something small. It's great for cutting little blocks, nice little accurate stuff. It's great for just, yeah, small accurate jobs. You're not going to be taking this to a building site and ripping 8x2s on it. Time has come. I better charge up Cam's batteries before I give this thing back to him. And speaking of Cam, this is his company, Systematic Homes. Check him out on YouTube and Instagram. I'll put some links up here and down in the description. This charger doesn't seem to have a fan on it. The batteries have got the holes to blow air through, but this one doesn't have the fan. I assume there's one with a fan. I've been told there's one with a fan. Whilst those batteries are charging, let's take a look at some of the cuts we did. They've left a nice finish. It's the MDF. We've got some laminated stuff here. Some minor chipping a few places, but like I say, not a blade designed for this. This is a multi-purpose woodworking blade, but yeah, a little bit chippy. A little bit chippy. Not too bad. This looks super nice. No teeth marks or anything. Tis a nice accurate cut from the saw straight out of the box. What else do I need to tell you about this tool? In case you're wondering, the fence when you use the lever, if you take a look at the end here, you'll see that it locks onto the back of the tool, which is nice. So it's good and sturdy. It's not left wobbling around at the end. Locks on both ends. So it's good and solid, even though it's only a short fence. It ain't going anywhere. The push stick clips nicely in the side there. On the back of the tool it says 23 kgs. That's the weight with all the accessories and everything, I think, because the tool itself is fairly light and easy to move around. I think it's 23 kgs with the lid, with all the attachments, this and the dust bag, the whole shebang inside the case. Around 23 kgs, and the tool is made in Germany, of course. And if you wanted to know, the batteries I'm using are made in Poland and the charger is made in China. Now I'm looking forward to the comments on this video because Festool users can be a rather pedantic bunch. That statement alone will probably get you all wound up. And so there's a lot of Festool haters and there's a lot of Festool diehards. And so the two of you are probably going to clash down in the comments, and both of you will probably end up having a go at me. And so I'll probably get attacked in this video more than I've ever been attacked. But we'll see, might be all good. Anyway, if you do want to attack me, it's down there in the description, go for it. Because some people will see my testing methods as being a little too brutal. You shouldn't be putting a 2-inch piece of timber through that, it's not designed for that. Yeah, I know most people aren't going to use it for that. But hey, I want to test the capabilities of the tool, see what the maximum these things can do if you need to. If you're on site and you need to cut a piece of 2-inch timber, will this be able to do it? And don't say, oh, well, you'll have another saw to do it, okay? Just just don't, you know, come on. People get awfully shit-faced about tool reviews. It's sad, really. Anyway, this is a nice tool. I like it. It's hard to come up with something negative about it. I'll give you a couple. First, I'll tell you, I love this sliding. This works beautifully. This sliding table here, this guide along the side. The way that the miter square locks in, beautiful, elegant. It's all so well designed. If you're a fan of things that are nicely designed and compact and fit together nicely and just work well together, then yeah, this tool, you'll love this tool. So all the digital mechanisms for putting this up and down is fantastic. This is fantastic. The fence is great. The blade insert here is a little bit lower than the surrounding aluminium. Got a line here to make it nice and easy to line up with your blade. So my complaints are, it's small for me. It would be a bit small, but I know it's not designed for doing big stuff. So, but yeah, the maximum width that you can rip something with on here is about 290 millimeters. So pretty narrow, but of course you're not going to be trying to get a full sheet of ply or something onto this because it'd just be too unwieldy with the size of the timber with this tiny little frame of this thing. This side you're only looking at about 180 millimeters or around 7.5 inches. That's just based on my quick measurement there like that. It doesn't have a cord, it is battery only, it's not a hybrid tool, there's no AC option for it. But for what it is a great little tool. So the things I don't like, you know a tool's good when I'm going to complain about what I'm about to complain about, because the little screen here, the static with the dust, like all the sawdust seems to just go to that more than anything else on the tool. And so you've got to keep wiping the front of it just to be able to see it, because all the dust just sort of magnetizes to the front of there. And yeah, bit of a pain. Now when it came to like run time, how much you could get out of it, hard to tell with something like this, because the tool is constantly running when you're not using it, sort of thing. You've got the thing turned on, you might turn on the blade, you might turn around, pick something up, cut it, you might turn around, pick something else up, cut it. So the thing's running the whole time, not like a circular saw where you're taking your finger off after you finish each cut. So, but I didn't get much out of it. Okay, I got about 5 linear meters on one set of 5.2 batteries. Now that's cutting all sorts of different things. Mostly cutting around the 18 millimeter MDF mark, cut a fair bit of that. Most of what I cut will be in the video probably. I filmed just about everything on the first set of batteries I used, apart from a couple of shots just setting up the camera. And yeah, it didn't cut a lot. Granted, that first shot cutting through the 45 millimeter piece of treated pine would have been a bit of a struggle for it, and that would have sucked up a fair bit of juice, but I think maximum you're getting out of this thing is about 10 linear meters per set of batteries, so it's not a huge amount of cutting by any standard at all, especially considering it's only a 165 millimeter blade. And that sort of brings me to the other part of the equation. A little bit underpowered maybe. If there was a 165 millimeter circular saw, I've got a bunch of 165 millimeter circular saws that are far more powerful than this. But that is a complaint that I hear about Festool all the time. Really nice tools, but perhaps a little underpowered. Festool fanatics now getting apoplectic down in the comment section. But apart from that, the dust management was good. It's a nice tool to use. This is awesome. I mean, this, being able to push buttons and the blade just goes up to the height you program in and the angle you program in without having to wind dials and lock things in. Awesome. That's fantastic. That is my favorite feature of the tool by a country mile. That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's a great little unit, and it's just so well designed. But I probably wouldn't use it that much, to be honest. So I'm not going to be too sad that I have to give it back to Cam, which I'm going to go do now. If you want to see more Festool stuff, let me know down below. Let me know what you want to see, and maybe we'll be able to hook up some more Festool gear. Until then, consider Patreon, subscribing, liking, yada 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 yada. And cheers. See you later.